Hey guys, welcome back to Manny Reads Comics, where I talk about comics, recap them, review them. Today I'm going to be talking about The Amazing Spider-Man number 70, which is just a prelude to Sinister War. So I was kind of harsh on my review, but now I realize it is just a prelude. It's just trying to get you excited for Sinister War. So no, I am more excited now for Sinister War, but this issue itself was lacking a bit. But before I get into all that, I do want to say that I'm pretty excited. I reached out to a couple of people in the Instagram comic community, other comic lovers. They're comic create or not creators, but they're content creators. They do their own things. They have their own shows, and a couple of people reached back, and so I reached out to say to see if they would like to join me in one of these recaps slash reviews. And I'm surprised at the amount of people that did reply and say that they wanted to join. So I'm happy about that. You got that to look forward to. We'll be talking about different books. So I think I have someone for Batman, Champions, Eve, Seven Secrets, Static Shock, which is was it's a shock because I didn't think many people would want to talk about that. And then Nightwing and Sinister War. Speaking of, so I got a couple of people lined up for that. That's pretty exciting. I hope it's a good show. Hope you like it, and hopefully they have a good time as well. I know that I can get a little monotone on my own, so I'm happy to have people bounce off of. Um, but yeah, so make sure to share this with your friends. If you yourself would ever like to join me to recap any kind of the books that I have, make sure to look at the link in the description. I have my pull list, so you can see what books I read. And if there's any book there that you would like to recap slash review with me, let me know. Reach out on Instagram, on YouTube, any one of those. I'll most likely answer. So yeah, let your friends know. Share with them, and make sure you listen to the podcast and all that. You can see my dog in the background here. Um, anyways, moving on to Amazing Spider-Man. So we kind of leave off with what's happening in 69 and before. Um, that storyline pretty much ends with 69. This one just starts off with Peter saying that he needs to go and like get his life kind of together, so he needs to go to class, right? When he goes to the school, he goes and he sees the hallways pretty messed up, and the classroom is all broken, and he sees Dr. Connors on the ground, and he doesn't look too good. So Dr. Connors is talking about how something is gone. It's gone, and immediately I'm pretty positive that he's talking about the lizard, but he could also be talking about any other sciencey stuff that he does. That kind of things. But he goes and he starts telling Peter what happened, and basically, Otto Octavius showed up with his Sinister Five at the moment. He's got Craven, Electro, Sandman himself, and who else? There's someone missing. Oh no, so this is the Sinister Four. Lizard is the fifth one at this point, but they all show up and they force him to do the experiment that he's been working on. He was gonna do this experiment on his own, anyways, but he until he thought it was safe. But they said no, let's just go ahead and do it right now. Let's get into it, and they force him to turn on the isotope genome accelerator. Now, if you've been keeping up with the storyline with Nick Spencer's run, you know that this is the same isotope genomes accelerator that hit Peter way back in like issue 5 or 6, 5, 6, 7, um, and it separated Peter from Spider-Man, both personalities, and those weren't great results. Like, not while at first Peter loved it, he's like, "Oh, Spider-Man can be Spider-Man, and I can be Peter." Then he started figuring out that he doesn't have his intelligence as much anymore. He doesn't have obviously the strength and speed of proportionate to a spider, all that thing. He doesn't have any of the Spider-Man qualities. He doesn't have. He needs to wear his glasses, right? While at the same time, Spider-Man does not have Peter's qualities, and he doesn't have Peter's humbleness and sense of responsibility. So that was bad, and I'm sure that's one of those things that Doc Ock Connors was gonna work on, but he didn't have the time. Also, he didn't know. he didn't know that Peter and Spider-Man kind of split like that. So that's a negative on the fact that Peter is still keeping his identity a secret. But either way, I'm sure that's something he was working on, right? But surprise, surprise, Lizard comes out. Connors, now they're two different beings. Lizard is probably nothing but a beast, most likely. Connors keeps his intelligence and he's just his human aspects, but most likely the beast, the lizard is just straight animal, straight just instincts. Maybe he can talk. I don't know, but um, I hope so because it's kind of annoying to read a creature that can't communicate. But yeah, no. So Lizard is the fifth member of the Sinister Six, and it is revealed later on that Kindred is the one that chooses the final member. But they leave him be. They have what they wanted. Lizard's out. Meanwhile, MJ is still looking for Carlie Cooper. She's been missing ever since Overdrive told her about it. She's been asking around her landlord, her friends, even asking Jeeves from the Avengers Mansion. So again, if you've been following along the story with Nick Spencer, um, Carlie Cooper is the one that showed MJ Jeeves like a little program for anyone who is a close member to a superhero. So it could be a loved one, it could be a parent, brother, sister, anything like that. Carlie obviously had Peter Parker, but MJ also does. And basically, it's just a support group, anything like that. Like, these are the people that know what they're going through. Their loved one is always out in danger, always putting themselves ahead of anyone and putting themselves, again, in danger. So she went to go ask Jeeves to see if Carlie may have mentioned something going somewhere, and all he says is that she left a note or left a message or something like that, but it wasn't very convincing. Even Jeeves is kind of like, I don't know, and so at this point, MJ finally is like, you know what, that's a little bit suspicious. Now she for sure knows that Carlie is missing, so she's gonna continue trying to find her. Then we see Carlie, and she is with Harry in like the actual Harry from this timeline, this world, this universe. Who knows? We don't know yet. This is what we're trying to find out. We finally get to hear from Harry what's going on, and he admits that he did go to Europe. That's the story that I forget his wife's name. Damn. It's the story that she gave. She was like, "Oh, he said he was going to Europe to do some work, and I guess he wasn't." She thinks that he's Kindred at the moment, but he did go to Europe because there were some accounts there that have been activated, and he wanted to go see what was up. It was his father's old accounts, so he wanted to go check him out personally. At that point, Kindred kidnaps him, and we haven't heard from him since. Um, Carlie does man, this is confusing. I don't get this. I'm just as lost as maybe most of you. But Carlie mentions that she saw Harry's body. I don't remember that from the last couple of stories, but she saw Harry's dead body early on in this series. So that's one Harry. So that's one, right? We got Kindred, who's another Harry, and we for sure know that he's from a different timeline or just another universe. Um, and then we got Harry in the cell. Is Harry in the cell? Could it? I'm just throwing this out there. I just thought about this right now. It could be a chameleon. Yeah, and that's why we had the whole chameleon conspiracy, not only for Teresa Parker, but for this moment, that would be, or maybe the dead body that Carlie saw was a chameleon kind of double. I don't know. I feel like that's gonna tie in a little bit because that chameleon conspiracy just kind of came out of nowhere for no reason. It needs to tie in some way, right? So that's probably what's gonna happen. Eh, I like that. Proud of that. Uh, hopefully it happens. But anyways, villains. The villains are still at like I'm sure they're at the bar with no name, still celebrating Boomerang for tricking Spider-Man and just doing the long con, and everyone's just amazed with him. They love him and everything. He's still not very happy with himself. You can see he's kind of slumping his shoulders over. He's drinking his little drink, but he doesn't seem too happy. And Overdrive goes to offer him a job. So I'm assuming that this job is going to help him find Carlie, because him and Carlie have been a thing. So who knows? Um, I really hope it doesn't lead to like a redemption for Boomerang, because I'm not gonna lie, he got me. He got. I was against it for the longest time, and on the issue where he reveals himself is the same issue before I started. I was like, oh, he's a good guy now. He's for sure a good guy, and then he stabs Spider-Man in the back. So I'm not happy with him. I don't want him to get a redemption arc right now. I could care less. I couldn't care less. But I can see that happening also because he is just moping around. Um, Peter is continuing his search for the Sinister Six. He knows that they're back. Doc Connors confirmed that. What I don't understand, and this is again, I'm lost as much as you guys because I don't read every single comic, right? I just read comics. From what I know from the Superior Spider-Man Volume 2, Doc Ock had to go back to his old ways to defeat the Norman Osborn of a different whatever. I don't really want to get into that. But I don't know what happens to him afterwards. Did he die or not? Whatever. But Peter still should have known something happened, right? So why is he not questioning the fact that Dr. Octopus is back? It's confirmed by Connors. Dr. Octopus is back. He's got the tentacles and everything, the robotic arms. Why isn't he more concerned about that? Why isn't he like, hey, I thought he turned over a new leaf or something? He's not questioning it, which is, it's not a bad thing to go straight into action mode, I guess. But at the same time, it's like, be a little smarter, Peter. You are a smart man. use that brain. Either way, we find out that Mysterio chose. Oh, I'm sorry, I completely messed that up. We find out that Kindred chose Mysterio to be the sixth member of the Sinister Six. So that's the new member. I didn't realize that Mysterio died. Now thinking back, I guess he did, but Kindred brought him back. Um, and he begins to just kind of wrap up everyone that's involved so far. So we got the Foreigner, the Syndicate, Boomerang, Vulture, and the Sinister Six, right? We get this final page spread of just like every single team. The Foreigner, Chance, Jack O'Lantern, Slide, they're all one team. Again, the Sinister Six, the Syndicate, which is a bunch of like the female Electro, Beetle, one of the bunnies. I don't know her name. I guess there's a Shocker. I can't remember. I didn't see it. I don't have it in front of me. But there's a bunch of teams all laid out, and I thought it was gonna be Sinister War was gonna be like Sinister Six versus maybe the Syndicate. I didn't realize there was gonna be so many players in this. It's literally everything that Nick Spencer has been writing since his first issue is all coming into play here. So that's kind of cool. I like to see that wrap up. I'm very excited for Sinister War, and I do believe I will be talking Sinister War with someone named Frank. His Instagram is Frank Comics, so I'll definitely have that ready for whenever we do the show. So check that out, and yeah, that's it. That's Sinister War. Or that's not Sinister War. That's this issue 70. I gave it a 5 out of 10 initially. Just like again, I said this went nowhere. It was just a bunch of explanation. But now that I actually put together the fact that it is a prelude, it's just building up the story. Then yeah, it makes sense why it's not much. So 5 out of 10, but being lenient, I would say 6 out of 10. I just expected more, but it is just a setup. I do love how the lizard is back. That's a great explanation. Easy, quick, no need to make it more complicated than it needs to be. I loved it. It was good. Perfect. And I do appreciate the Harry's involvement. I appreciate the fact that they mentioned that he did go to Europe, so that wasn't just like a made up story. He isn't just out there kind of like living his life and then coming back and being like everything is burning and stuff, right? So I appreciate Harry from this timeline being involved in stuff. Um, I don't see why Kindred kidnapped Carlie. That's weird. I don't understand it, and I'm sure it's gonna come into play because it doesn't make sense, right? So that's something to think about, something that's in the back of my head. But yeah, 6 out of 10. Good. I do. I didn't even talk about the cover. I do like the cover. It's just Spider-Man tangled up in could be his own webs, could be another web. It makes sense with what Kindred's talking about for him to be tangled up in his own webs for his own sins. Blah blah blah. But it's a good cover. I think I don't know who. I'm not sure who the artist is, but great stuff. Everything about this was all right. It's leading up to something good. Hopefully, the Sinister War. I'm really, really excited for it, and I do hope it hits because Nick Spencer needs a win. So I definitely hope it hits. Um, Other than that, let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Of course, please follow, subscribe, listen to me on the podcast as well. Share with your friends. That's the most important part. And hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.